Okay, we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining today, October 1st. Man, the year is flying by. Fourth quarter, that is crazy. But thank you all for joining the Platform Analytics Academy. If you're new, welcome. If you're a returner, it's always great to see you. Real quickly, I'm going to kind of go over some logistical information and then we'll get into our topic. Although my speaker has not showed up yet, and there may be something going on there, so this may or may not actually happen, which is a first for me, and I would truly apologize to all of you because that's sort of not how I operate. So hopefully he will pop in here shortly, so we'll see either way. So as usual, these are always for you, fresh ideas, better understanding, and practical guidance, and this is no different. This is being recorded, so please feel free to sit back and relax and enjoy things. And please ask questions. Utilize the Q&A, please, for those questions, because there are panelists that are on, as well as the presenter who can answer questions. If there is a question that's related to the content that we're covering in a particular moment, then we can definitely stop and ask those questions, and we may find ourselves doing that. But if there are questions that are unrelated to the topic that we are covering, you can definitely ask those as well. We'll try to get to those if we have time to do that. So safe harbor. Don't necessarily know if there's anything that's covered that needs to be included for the safe harbor, but the presenter, may or may not have some of that, Michael. So yeah. So my name is Thomas Davis, and I'm always your host. And Dan is here. I think Tara may show up, and our speaker is Michael Fisher. But looks like what I hoped was not going to happen may appear to be happening, and he has not showed up yet. I know that there were some unforeseen circumstances that was going on with him, and it looks like it is happening. He was going to talk about AI agent dashboard, which we were all super, super excited about hearing and seeing and being covered. So I apologize, but it looks like, I mean, obviously we have a couple minutes to the 12:05, which is generally that 5 minute mark. Yeah, so thanks for publishing the last Ask the Expert session on two. Listen, we'll kind of just talk about this since we have some time, hoping that he'll still be able to show up. Um, so things have sort of changed, and just I'll kind of let you all know. Usually, I used to get these recordings like an hour after the session, and we actually had another department that took that over. So it's a little bit longer now that I get that. So I really, really hate the fact that it takes me longer to get all this information out to you all. If you've been around for a long time, you know that I'm usually pretty quick with that. But we've had another department sort of taken over the Zoom and marketing side of it, so it's kind of pushed it out a little bit more. But I apologize on behalf of them and of course on behalf of myself that that took as long as it did. It's one thing getting the recording, but when you do an Ask the Expert session, obviously the questions are super important as well. So I had to wait a little bit longer for those, and I apologize that it was just yesterday from something that was 2 weeks ago. That's definitely not my style, and I usually don't operate like that. But in any case, it doesn't look like that he is going to show up. And I appreciate, Thomas, that you all are understanding. We've been around for a while, and like I said, this is definitely the first time this has ever happened to myself running these academies, and a little bit embarrassed about it, but I super apologize. We can go ahead and answer this one question from Anonymous. I don't want to turn it into an Ask the Expert session just because I don't have enough people here to answer questions. I think that Dan and I are probably the most knowledgeable people on the planet as it relates to platform analytics, but that might also put some undue pressure on the two of us to try to answer those questions. I don't know, Dan, maybe you can do it, but I want to make sure that I set a good sort of
Great.
tone.
Don't set the bar too high here now.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely. But non-related question for data snapshots that comes with Raptor DB Pro, do data snapshots allow count distinct and average? That's a good question, Dan. Do you know the answer to that?
yeah. I had just was just hearing like not yesterday, like last week that it was not. So let's see, are we planning to? I'm looking at this here. Yeah, I am not. Yeah, right now I'm seeing it as not yet fully supported for the data snapshots. What I am going to check since we do have a little bit of time. I'm going to try to do a quick check. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to do like a really thorough investigation, but I'm trying to do a quick check on the
Okay.
possibility of a roadmap item.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, and then the other one from David, and like I said, I don't really want to get into a ask the expert session just because we just had one a couple weeks ago. Although we could probably have one every 2 weeks with the amount of questions that you all bring, which is super awesome. But David is asking, what's the latest info on when legacy reporting functionality will not be able to be used, and any other similar info you all have? So it's Australia, right, Dan? So starting in
yes.
Australia, you will not be able to use the core UI reporting functionality to
And
create any new
to
reports.
create.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you if you wanted to create something, you'd obviously need to create a data visualization and platform analytics because that does provide you the ability to look at table data directly, which would be live like reporting is,
Mhm.
or of course you can look at indicators and things of that nature for trending analysis. So
So
yeah,
yeah,
Australia, David, is when
the
you need to look at
right.
that for that.
And the thing I want to clarify on that though too is any existing pre Australia upgrade, any existing reports or dashboards from the legacy system, they're still usable. You can still run if they already exist. You can still run reports. You can still use the dashboards. People have the same access to those dashboards. It's just you cannot create any net new dashboards or reports in the legacy system as of the Australia upgrade.
So adding to John, so classic reporting PA and dashboards work beyond the Australia release. Recent web eye searches say that they will no longer. No, they'll still work.
They still work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We're not doing a forced migration, so
Um,
they will still work. Yep, yeah.
And there was actually a formal communication sent out to all customers in March that talked about that, but I what I'm finding out is that a lot of the platform analytics users and even the platform analytics admins did not necessarily get that. They did, it wasn't necessarily passed down within the organization. So that's been out there since March, but yes, they will be usable. You can continue to use them. There are no plans at this point to ever just turn off the ability to use the legacy reports. But it's the issue of you can't create new, and I think the bigger issue is that they're not supported in any way. So if you have any issues or things that are broken in a legacy dashboard, the response from support as of Australia is going to be you need to try to do the same thing then in platform analytics dashboards. So other than security issues. So
And
we
then just so we know, and for everybody here, so the follow-up question from John is, can you still maintain change them? So
yes,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So if you
yes,
had something, just the functionality of creating a new report is not going to be there after starting in Australia. So yeah, good questions. It looks like it's turning into an Ask the Expert session. So
yeah,
we'll try to see if we can answer as many of these as
yeah.
possible here. Let's see. Seems like pivot table no longer supports list type field. Will this be added back at some point? Use case, I want a pivot table where rows is based on list field to group by row column.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, Drew, but I can definitely take that back to the developers and try to get an answer for you on that. And I think it also would be a great question to potentially ask in the community. But I think everybody
Yeah.
here probably knows my email address at this point. It's definitely no secret. But Drew, if you could send that to me directly, I'll try to get you an answer on that
Because
and
I
get that
know,
over to
yeah,
you.
because I know they're, and for list views, for anyone who's like, listening there, I think it's when a particular field on a record, say like on an incident, you're tagging multiple names. Not tagging's the wrong word. You have a field where you might want to say, kind of like the work notes. I want these five people to get the work notes, and I want to be able to search that work notes field for any of those five people. And that is, yeah, that's that. As of I know, at least Yokohama that is not yet supported. And I know that one is on the roadmap. I just don't have the specifics on it.
Okay.
Um,
So
Applying
let's go to
breakdown.
another one because it's a big topic here is reporting functionality once it goes to Australia. So With Australia Update, can users still edit existing reports? Yes, you can there. Will it be in the core UI reporting tool, or will they have to do it in platform analytics? It's a good question.
I'm gonna let Oriole, because Oriole was making some responses here. I am going to make
Now I can speak. So what
Yeah.
was the question again?
that was a question on, you said report admin and admin. You talking about like for existing post Australia, um, for existing reports. I know anybody can run or edit the existing reports if they edited them before. But when you say the report, yeah, the point where you're saying that the report admin slash admin can do that.
Yeah. So basically, Dan, what you said is correct. We are not. So if you upgrade to Australia, everything that you have in your instance will still run, right? That's the good news. There is no forced migration
All
at
right.
all, even though we promote and we recommend everyone to migrate, because everything that is developed new, and you hear AI everywhere, we are trying to add AI in all the parts of the platform, and of course analytics is one of them. Will only work with platform analytic new artifacts, right? It will not work with reporting. So that's a good, I would say, a good thing that you should start thinking to migrate. Now, the reason why we don't let new reports to be created is because we want only platform analytics visualizations to be created. Just everything that you create new is going to be in the new tech stack, and only admins and report admins are the ones that still can create all reports, because let's all remember that if you want to add a report on Service Portal, imagine you are working on Service Portal, you should be able to still create a report and put it in Service Portal. And the only users that can do that is going to be report admin and admin, unless I'm wrong. But regular users cannot create any more new reports. Is that answering the question?
Yes, yeah. That was just mainly just following up then on when your comment. Then was your comment in the Q&A, was that based upon that question?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
And of course, if you have the rights to edit a report, you will use the old, not old, the existing report designer as before. Nothing has changed, right? So in terms of UI, you will still use the report designer for the old reports and the new visualization designer for the new visualizations. It automatically will open the right UI for you, depending what you are doing.
Okay. Dan, what do you want to do? You want to keep going with these, you think?
A few of them we can get.
Go for it. I think you got one flag. Go, or you're typing an answer.
Well, I
Don't
was
know.
actually typing in.
Yeah.
There's an anonymous attendee, so I don't know who to follow up. But since saying quite a few bugs in the new functions for PA dashboarding, is there a quick list for items to check off? And my follow-up was going to be, I'm not quite sure what was meant by a quick list, and asking them to elaborate. Because if you have anything that, if you're talking about bugs like you're trying to do a specific capability that is by all documentation is supposed to be there, that would have that would be a support case, because it's, expected functionality is not doing what you're looking for. That would be a support case. But if we're talking about like features that we have not yet started supporting, as much as possible, we're putting that in the docs for each release. We have like what data visualizations are not yet supported or things of that sort. So if you could, whoever asked that question, could elaborate on what you mean by bugs on new functions. 'Cause if it truly is bugs, I would say we need support cases. So we have, all right, that's all I had.
Okay. And for anyone that's just coming in, so again, our speaker for today's topic, we were going to talk about AI agent dashboard, but unfortunately something came up and they weren't able to show, and it was a last minute thing. So super apologize for that. That is unlike this session or this academy. We hate when that happens. Actually, it's never happened since I've been doing it. So
No, yeah.
it is kind of we didn't want it to turn into an Ask the Expert session just because we don't really have enough people on this, but we have had some questions that come in, and we can try to answer these as many of these as possible. But I think if you have a more advanced question, I would ask you to please sort of hold off on that, just because, like I said, I don't have enough developers here. Although I think Oriel could probably answer them all, but I also don't want to put him on the spot as well. So let's go through here and see what we could sort of answer here.
Victor, when you that's the one when using an indicator to create a new visualization, applying breakdown as conditions, creating a new visualization, applying a breakdown. Oh, in the conditions itself, operator only has is and only and, so not an or. You're saying that sounds like Victor. We should let Victor speak here.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Victor. Okay, Victor, you are able to speak to clarify. I'm not quite sure.
Hello?
You say you're talking about like
Hi.
in the data source when you see
Yes.
in
Yeah.
the data source.
Thanks, everybody. I'll be quick. So, for example, I have an indicator for the whole company and have breakdown, for example, the assignment groups. But I also need to create a dashboard for the departments. Each department could have like 4 or 5 assignment groups. So I would like to be able to utilize the existing indicators. So if they have, when I goes to create a new visualization using the data source as indicator, I use breakdown as conditions. They only has is and and.
And
So
no
if
or.
no
Yeah.
all, and also they has just very specific, doesn't have start with, doesn't have anything else there. I just was wondering if you guys could make it more flexible, because then I can utilize the existing indicators and apply to different departments. I don't have to create them again.
Yeah. To me that seems like a problem, but it may be as designed, but yeah, what I don't know is if that's an as designed or if it is something that is just an oversight. Have you asked support on it? Because support would be able to tell us immediately whether it's they would
No.
have that. Plus, we would have it logged to say that if it's as a feature request. I can still put it in as a feature request.
Yeah.
Because I'm not aware of that's actually a new one to me. So it's
Thanks. Yeah, that's
but yeah, let's try that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Done. And then you had the other one then on data cache. Indicator
Yes.
scorecard shows no data. Refreshing it won't fix it.
Yeah.
Changing cache expiration time.
Yeah. There's
So
1 hour, 2 hour doesn't help. That only happened with the scorecard.
if on the dashboard, if you just say disable the data caching, just turn it off entirely and just do a manual refresh, does that still work? I mean, it's not a good option, but I'm just wondering if that
No,
still
if
works.
once you enable the that cache, it just shows us no data, no matter what I do. You have to disable that, then the appears again.
So the scorecard is just not following the caching, basically.
Yeah, everything else works very good. Yes.
That to me definitely sounds like a defect. I don't know if Oriel, you have any thoughts on that, because that sounds like something that should not work that way.
I was replying other questions, so I couldn't
Okay.
follow.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Appreciate doing that. It's a question on data caching at the dashboard level.
Yeah. So data caching at the dashboard level means is caching the data, the live query that you are doing, right? But the moment that you have an indicator, of course, the data is not live because you get the data from the last time that the collection job happened, right? So
But what it's saying is that
Mhm.
the scorecard is showing scores if data caching is not turned on, but
Yes, that's
but is
correct.
empty, is showing nothing at all when data caching is turned on.
Okay, that shouldn't
Um,
happen.
right.
So
So that to
can
me
you?
sounds like a support case.
Yeah, and it's very strange because again, when it's PA data being cached or not being cached, at the end we just get the scores, right? Caching
Yeah.
helps a lot on live queries to tables, and
Yeah, for sure.
especially you can see it
Yeah.
very, very impactful. You can see a very big impact when those queries are slow and you are querying
Oh,
millions of rows. Then if you enable caching, then it is really, really fast. But yeah, we need to investigate that particular
yeah.
scenario.
Kurt Baker in the chat actually had a question there, and then someone else mentioned it too. Cache that I was told it was a known issue and will be corrected next release. But Kurt Baker is also saying if that it's possible it could be a browser caching issue. But if it's identified as a no, so you could just check very simply by just trying on a different browser or clear your
So
Yeah, and
in the
Stephen
browser
Rogers
to
dashboard,
just
see if it's cached.
commented that they're having the same issue, but he turned it off, and it fixes turning it off fixes everything immediately. So
Well, that would make sense but I think kind of the concern is that's a dashboard that you want data caching.
right,
Now,
yeah, yeah,
now as Orio's saying, the biggest benefit to data caching is the table queries or the real-time table queries. But there is a benefit if it's a very complex dashboard. You have the dash, even if it's just PA indicators, you still have the benefit of it being a cached version of the
yes,
dashboard.
yes, it's gonna be
Um,
faster.
it's gonna be faster, but it should definitely not do what you're talking about.
Yeah, and by
So
the way, just to clarify, there is no caching on the browser, so caching happens on the backend, right? So changing the browser doesn't usually help, especially for this particular scenario, it doesn't help at all, right?
makes sense.
In the dashboard, there is a refresh icon that forces a full refresh of the dashboard, discarding the cache and just pulling new data and inserting it into the cache. And maybe this is something that it can be done, because when people refresh the dashboard, what do they mean? Do they click the refresh the dashboard button, or do they refresh the browser? Refreshing the browser doesn't
Doesn't do
really
anything.
force
Yeah.
the live queries again to be executed, right? You are just refreshing the page
Yeah.
on your browser.
Right. So it sounds like the workaround would be just turning off data caching at the dashboard. And
I
you
would say
know,
the workaround is to try to click the refresh button on the dashboard, and
well, because the
hopefully
data
that will
caching
help.
should work, but what I think we're saying is that even if data caching is turned on and you hit that refresh button, it still doesn't change the output of the scorecard view.
That's correct.
It's
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
correct.
that looks like
So
something to investigate.
yeah.
What
So I
Dan
still
says exactly is correct. Yes. No matter
yeah.
what you refresh the dashboard, refresh the browser doesn't help. Once the that cache is on with the scorecard, everything else was fine. Like other
Yeah.
visualization is okay, not dashboard, not scorecard.
Right. So I think unfortunately the workaround for now is to turn off data caching or on that dashboard.
Yes, exactly what I
So
did. Yes.
yeah, unfortunately. So but if you want to add to the urgency of the upcoming break fix, you certainly you can raise a case, but it you know it sounds like it's still coming, but yeah, or yeah, with that, but it's even when I true that even when we hit that refresh button, the dashboard refresh
Just in
button.
case for people
Yeah,
here in the call listening, it's always good if you want to force a full refresh of new data and also fix any possible cache issue that it shouldn't be any. But yeah, that refresh button helps.
okay, let's see. I don't know if any of us, Oriel, see if because you're the most technical resource we've got. Well, you are the technical resource that we have. Question about dynamic data binding. if we want to make filters of the data, which we copied via debugger greater than, and then putting in a specific, what the get resolved properties is for the visualization dependent on other client state parameters. So if we want to make filters of the data, the visualization dependent on the other client state parameters. I would assume that is yes, but I don't know that answer. I don't know if you see that question. If you're looking at that question,
see
Oriel,
that
I don't
question.
know that,
What is the
unfortunately.
question?
You'd have to. It's the very top of the open questions list right now. Saying that last Q&A there was a lot of topic of dynamic data binding. So a follow-up on that was, if we want to make filters of the data, which we copied via, and then they put in the string of what was copied for the visualization, dependent on other client state, is it dependent on other client state parameters? Right now, the data visualization won't re-render with the updated client state parameter, and I don't know how those items are passed.
I don't see that question, but anyway, I would suggest, because I would like to know more about this particular use case, if that person can send me an email directly, and then we'll look into it and try to answer. Because I suppose it's like he or she is creating a page in UIB, it has a visualization component, using it as a presentational component, and we are gathering the data through a data broker, I suppose. And also he wants to bind, to put a filter in that UXF page and how to link it together. So please, if you can send me an email with more details or open a case task maybe, and then we can answer that. That would be maybe easier.
Yeah, whatever's easier for you, Sharik.
Yeah, case task maybe is easier because then the whole team can look into it and answer faster if I'm busy.
Plus, if there is an actual problem with it, it gets logged.
Exactly.
See, Josh, you were following up on one of those, so I will take you off of. Hey, Josh, I'll let you go ahead and talk on another question that John had.
Sure. Sorry. Yeah, no, I was just saying that I know I ran into some challenges too, getting the new platform analytics to display the way that I wanted with stacked columns. I did finally figure it out. There's like a combination of options, and then the ability to use multiple data sources on a widget, which was really cool. But yeah, it's a little bit, you have to think about it slightly differently. But it's so far I've been able to get it to do everything I needed in the new one. Like I said, there's a couple of things I think that were still not, and maybe they're working now, like the scorecard widget. But I mean, that wasn't a huge loss for me. It was really cool, but I didn't end up using it a lot in practice. But most everything I've tried to do, I've been able to get done in the new one, with just some minor tweaking.
And maybe now you mentioned something interesting, Josh, is that in visualization, you can add multiple data sources, right?
Yep.
And now with Workflow Data Fabric, I don't know if you guys are using it, but basically Workflow Data Fabric is a way to expose external data as tables. And that means you can put in a single visualization, you should be able to put data that is coming from any table in ServiceNow, including any table that is external through Workflow Data Fabric in the same visualization, right? So that's something that you cannot do in reporting, you can do in visualizations, because you can combine multiple data sources if they are from the same type, and because Workflow Data Fabric exposes external data as tables, you can mix internal tables and external tables in the same chart. And that's something pretty cool.
We're pretty excited about that.
Then usually when you query external systems, you might get a bit of delay. Then is when you get the most benefit of the caching, right?
Yeah, exactly. Is there a way to hide all breakdown elements without data? I know we had that workaround in the old the responsive canvas where we, you could set like the maximum number to maximum of like 1 or 0, and then it only showed. I thought that was the default now in I thought that was the default in the platform analytics filters to that it would only show the elements that had data. But it's saying clearly you're saying no, but it's so the idea is, if I have 5,000 assignment groups, but only 10 of them have change request tasks, and that's and that's what I'm looking up. That I would only and in the filter itself, I don't think there is a way to define that, because I know there's a way where you like configure the values. Could you? I'm thinking out loud here, guys. So for Oriel or Thomas or John, or Josh, I know there's the related list condition, but that seems like that might be overkill, where I could say, the table might be looking up assignment groups, but then I would do like a related list condition that says where the assignment group is on any active change or any active task. I'd have to look that up though. So maybe if you guys want to go take a look at something else, I can take a look at that real quick.
Yeah, and Marco was able to join us, so super appreciative of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Between Oriel and Marco, boy, we've got all we need.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking on mute a little while ago. But yeah, to what Oriole was saying,
Dan,
I just
promote Marco up real quick. I'm sorry.
sure.
Oh, he's not. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, we just saw a presentation on the workflow data fabric and the zero copy. And I mean, that once I figured out what that was, like that was really, really cool. Because it looks like it works a lot like database views, where you essentially kind of have like a phantom table that populates on demand. And basically you can treat it and work with it like any other table in the system, and that's just going to be epic.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
incredibly excited
you
about.
can have like live queries, or you can schedule pulling data at certain intervals of time, right? So when they say zero copy, it means it really does the query on the external system live at that particular moment. So you can choose, you have the two options through the Workflow Data Fabric integration.
All right, we're just all kind of scrolling down through these, see which one we can grab. Marco, you just grabbed one if you want to go ahead and answer that one live.
Yeah, sure. So the question is, how can we adjust decimal formatting in single score data viz? There is a setting under metrics called format values. It's a small link like button. When you click there, that's where you can modify the formatting. The default formatting depends on the type of aggregation that is done, right? So if you have average, sum, then we default to 2 decimal places, but you can override that. So it's when you open the edit experience of data visualization, you can just see underneath metrics format values. I can answer the next one as well. So is there any consideration to allowing creating a field on the fly? We are currently exploring that option, hopefully for the future, but we don't have anything yet on the roadmap. For now, the only way of doing this is using functional fields or calculated values. But for that, you need to be an admin.
So, Dan, I think you're probably still looking for something, but is the drill down functionality is not working on migrated reports? What's the recommended approach to resolve the issue? Is it necessary to recreate the data visualization and manual reconfigure drill down? Drill downs, is that there? Or is that not there?
It
I
is
think you're
there.
talking about
So,
another data set that's not there yet, right?
so the thing is, we do support drill downs the same way we used to support it in Core UI. So we do have also drill down to a list or KPI details, but also to other external links. If this is not working, my suggestion is just open a case, and we can look it up. But it should be working.
And that is there for if you, in the old core UI reporting where you would have it drill down to another data set, that functionality is there in the data visualization as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Chart
Yep.
chart drill down also is there. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Chart drill down. There we go. Yeah. All right.
So yes, the one I was looking up on, there was the question on being able to limit the filter choices with on a breakdown, if it's a breakdown to only elements of that filter that have values. I'm not able to find that specifically, but there are two options. I don't know if this is brand new with Zurich or if it was available earlier. There is one option in the filtering, and when I configure values, where I can do a show empty values as just one single option. Here, I'm gonna share this real quick. I'm gonna replace the current share with mine here.
Yep. Before.
So this is on the, just show you where I was. On a filter, looking at the filter source and configure values. And of course I have my standard filtering for it, but I also have this option, show empty values, as one option. So then I can at least say that I don't know, I could put NA or no matches or something like that. So then when I view that filter, I think I need to refresh this. Unless I didn't save it. Yeah. So now everything that does not have data just shows up under one general category instead of filling up the list. The other way I was looking at it is by same place configuring values is by using a related list condition. So by that, I could do something like looking at a related table, so that there needs to be at least one or more records in this case, since I was using the assignment group, as I was saying, look at where it matches up with an incident. You could do the same thing like with task or something like that. It's not exactly what you're talking about, but like the task assignment group, for example, and there has to be at least one matching record, and I might even say where it has to be an active matching record. And you could put other conditions in here, so it's not exactly looking for only elements that have values, but at least allows you to do some very similar to that, to be able to limit the values that you're going to see in your filter drop-down list. So just wanted to mention that. So that's it for that one.
Dan, did you and you may have
The other one I had.
were you able to confirm on feature release allowing count distinct and average on data snapshots? Did you give an answer to that one?
Yeah, what I did verify is no, it is not, and I don't know if Marco has any updates, has anything else to say on that too. With data snapshots, I know we didn't, with the in the PA scores model, there was definite limitations to count when using the count distinct on selecting multiple. I just worked with a customer this morning where it appeared to work with data snapshots. That's, I don't know if, so Marco, do you know what I'm talking about here? Know if I have an indicator,
Yeah.
and the indicator is a count distinct on its data source.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm not quite sure if data snapshots support it. I will try to reach out to somebody who knows.
Because I'm saying I didn't think it did, but I was with a customer this morning where it looked like it did, but it could be something else going on there. So yeah, I don't believe it is supported yet. That was what I had heard last week. I I know I answered that question from Claire. Oh, the question of the changing visualization types resets the data source. Yeah. So if I'm configuring my data visualization and I originally am using a table query, or I'm sorry, not the data they change the visualization from a line chart to a, I don't know, a column chart. It wipes the entire data source, including any sort of complex filtering that I had been doing on that data source. So any update on that issue? Because I know that was also true with the legacy system as well, but you couldn't do as much of the really cool advanced filtering like you can do within the visualizations. So not fixed in Zurich. I am not aware of timing on a fix for that, but
I can answer that. There are the logic behind when the data sources get reset. It depends on whether or not the data source supports that chart. An example would be if you have an indicator and you're going from a bar chart to a heat map, it will naturally be reset. That's the intention behind that logic. So it's only if the data source is not compatible with the visualization, it's going to be switched out or reset. If you do see that it gets reset, for instance, if you're switching from a bar chart to a pie chart and you're using table data source, that should not happen. And for that issue we should definitely fix. So it depends on the use case in this case. But if you do see an issue where you're going from a chart that supports, from a data source that supports that chart to another chart that that data source supports, that should be working. And I think you can open a case for that and we can look to fix and backward maybe.
and I'm currently looking up the PRB that Claire put in there, unless, on the extended table attributes are not available in platform analytics. That's unless Marco, you have any thoughts on that, but let's see, because there's a PRB. It's looking to see if there's any, I think it's listed as a product enhancement. So any of the other folks know anything about that particular scenario where PA is not letting you work with extended table attributes? I'm not aware of that. So
Me neither.
sounds like no. So no. Unfortunately, the quick answer there, Claire, is no.
Oh, I see. So Claire did respond from list to bar. So depends on which version of ServiceNow you're on. If you're pre-Zurich, this is naturally going to happen because of how the charts have been different. But since Zurich, we've been trying to let them converge, so then the list visualization is kind of the same as bar or single score. There, I do not expect to have this issue. We're seeing it in Zurich. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I think for that one, it's better if you can open a case and we can look into it.
Yeah, and she's saying the list of issues on a Zurich PDI still between Yeah, Kasim in the chat says extended as in database view. Well, the database view is another way you could approach it, but the extension it's more of the other fields that are available on a table that is extended from another. So if it's if we're extending it, so it's not as much a new table. I mean, it kind of is, but like CMDB, all of the tables for the individual CMDB types, computer, server, all those are just extensions of CMDB. So Maria had a comment in the chat about support cases. Please provide steps to reproduce and screenshots when you're creating support cases. So that makes it a lot faster. It makes it a lot quicker for support to be able to diagnose and get it with stuff that needs to get to the dev teams. It makes it a lot faster to get there. I know we have some work on governance going on from a development perspective. again, I don't know if any of the folks on the call know of the specific one, but asking when will ServiceNow have governance tools to track what table data is being exported through a schedule. That's definitely kind of outside of our direct scope, but that sounds like, that, I mean, it would be, I don't know if there are even records created that track when an export occurs, because then you could, you could certainly, create notifications or create reports on that. But yeah, I don't know enough about that, the data export process. Because I assume we're talking about things like, from a list view, I could do the right click and export as CSV or something like that, or other ways. You can export other ways, but I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on that.
Maybe in the, not for the list, but at least for export of visualizations, everything happens asynchronously through events. So I'm not sure if looking at the events table, you can
Right,
see
I don't know.
exactly
Yeah.
what has been exported, or if we just use a sysid and then you will have to go and query that sysid to know which is the data source.
From
But
our
I'm just
perspective,
guessing.
yeah, if it creates an event, you could create a report that looks through the events as a kind of a workaround until there is something created. But otherwise, that's our general platform team, and so we'd just be speculating on any specific answers for that right now.
But the use case is to be able to know which data sources have been exported. Is that the
And
use
how
case?
often they are. Yeah.
Okay.
And not just PA data sources. We're talking about any table data.
Yeah.
It seems like a good
Yeah.
use case. Well, there's the one question about filters on variable contents. And any of our engineering side, or have any awareness of creating filters against like, I always think of basically like request item variables. Was the one that always comes up to mind, but there are other variables. I know we had that academy way back where I talked about some of that, Thomas, but I
Yeah.
don't know if that still holds true but that was more for like just creating a report based upon variables. So I don't, if you don't have, that would be a good one to put in as a
Community question.
community question or a feature request as well. An idea. And if it is an idea, if whoever posted that, if it's an idea already, if you could give us a link to it in the chat, and we could definitely follow up on that. We could take a look at the idea and see if we can push it. Just researching if an AI agent's dash will need performance analytics.
Well, that question's more about when you migrate something like any of that out of the box or whatever over from performance analytics platform. Does this mean that everything in performance analytics that currently requires a pro license will be available in standard?
In standard?
Migrating doesn't change licensing, right?
Right. Yeah.
No, right.
For in
So
any shape or form.
no, that's correct. So no, I think that answer would be a no. Timelines. That sounds like a good workspace question. I believe I'm suddenly blanking out, the Next Experience team also have office hours. I'm pretty sure they do. So that would be a good question. The question from Sarka about seeing SLA timelines on a workspace interface.
See if I can find that office hours.
Okay. Another question from Sharik was about state parameters. And again, I am definitely not a data binding guy, so I don't know if any of the other folks are. Is there a way to embed one state param into another state param? I do not know that answer, but
I wonder what's the use case.
I don't know if
What would
Sharik
be
is
the
still
use case?
on, but it's okay. Sharik, I think I just added you to be able to talk. No, different. Is that a different Sharik? Dang it, did I get the wrong person? No,
Hello,
it's
everyone.
Azim. Yeah, no, it's you. Yeah.
Yeah. So the use cases. So let's say I want to have a data visualization where I have a filter for any visualization, but I want to keep that filter dynamic on any other client parameter. So if I have a client state parameter updated, that should reflect on my data visualization altogether. So that is my question. Can we
Mhm.
embed the or link the state parameters somehow together?
Um, yes, you can. Let me think what's the best way of doing this. So we don't allow to pass the filter, only the filter part of the data source configuration. Instead, you have to pass the whole data source. So you can do data binding from the state variable to the data source property, right? And inside the data source property, you can assemble it from a script and use and change the filter query dynamically. That's one way. The other way of doing it is to kind of mimic the flow of the filters, of unified filters. So there is that state parameter called par filters. I believe we have some documentation on that. You could use that, and that would automatically be applied to the visualization. So there are two options. We don't have the good documentation for the first option, which is basically you just want to replace the whole property of data sources, right? But that's the easiest way of doing this.
I found a third alternative also, but that did not work for me. The alternative, may I suggest what I found?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. What I did, I created two state parameters. Param in this case, first had this JSON, and the another one I had event, which basically updated a client script, which in turn updated the second. Updated the client parameter altogether, and then I was expecting it to run. The state parameter seems to be working, but the embedding did not actually happen in the background. What I saw.
So where did you bind that? The first client parameter?
Not directly. I was binding it via client scripts of the UI builder. I mean, sorry,
I
the
see.
client
I
script.
see. Yes. So you need to bind again. You will need to bind that to the data sources property in the visualization, and then you need to do the same for metrics. I believe Thomas, do we have a recording from the previous academy
The
where
last
I did
Ask the
the
Experts.
yes, where
Yeah,
I
it's
did
out
that
there.
demo?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to that demo, I did a demo of explaining how to do this exact use case. So if you can find that recording and just look through it, you'll see basically step by step how to make that happen.
So I was the questioner last time also.
Ah,
So you
yes,
had
okay.
yeah. I
So
went
did you
through it.
manage? Yeah,
Yes, most of it. Yes, most of it. But
yeah.
right
So
now,
then
so
the
right now,
idea
what
would be.
I
Go ahead.
I'll let you complete. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so the idea is in the recording, what I did was I did data bind the data sources and metric property, right? If you do that successfully, then your data sources property is going to be a state parameter, right? In that case, what you can do is you can update from another client script, you can update that state parameter, and it will immediately be reflected on the visualization, and the visualization will refresh.
Yes, I followed exactly all the steps, but it seems it will not re-render once a state parameter is updated.
Okay, that's interesting. Can you open a case for that?
Sure, we can.
Can you open
Thank
a
you.
case and reference directly me? And at some point I will see it. Maybe tomorrow or in a couple of days.
All right, we are at the top of the hour, actually a minute over. So, hey, the impromptu Ask the Experts was not the plan today. So, again, sorry about that. I'm glad that we're able to get some answered. Real quick, let me close this out. So, obviously, what's new in Zurich is out there. Here is a newsletter, a sway. You can scan that QR code and get to that. Of course, data snapshots, we keep talking about that. If you are a customer that is on Yokohama and has Raptor DB Pro, we'd love to talk to you about data snapshots. So you're more than welcome to shoot an email to me and we can get something set up there. Obviously, ServiceNow Impact is out there, training and certification and expert services there as well. So I know in 2 weeks we will have process mining. The old great Dan Grady is going to be presenting. If you've not ever attended one of his, you should definitely be here. He is super awesome, and I know that everything is locked in with that one. So again, apologize that we weren't doing, we couldn't do AI agent dashboard. I will get that rescheduled. It will happen this year. But thank you everyone that did join, and apologize again, and thank you for all that were able to answer questions. And we'll see you all in a couple weeks. Thank you.